Hey guys, and welcome back to Leah's Lifestyle. Today we are. That was weird. Anyways, welcome back. Today we are going to continue with the highly sensitive person. I know it's been a while since we've sat down and read this book, so I think I will probably go back a page and just kind of start so I can remember where we were at, and so you guys can also have a moment to kind of catch up and remember where we're at, though I know you probably could watch the videos one right after the other and don't need it as much as I do. But hey, I'm the one reading it and trying to take in the information, and I'm just hoping that this encourages you to do the same thing. Or just sit back and enjoy and listen, because sometimes that's all we need. So, I'm going to start on page 97. I'm going to get a little comfy here. Oh. Weird. Little baby buggy. Little baby fly buggy. Must have come with the bananas I had. Sometimes that happens. Bananas. Getting into coveys. 'Cause I like to be snug as a bug. Apparently so does that one. Okay. We're going to start on page 97. And then there's it says people, arousal, and introversion, which I think I do remember reading this, but again, I just want some water, chill out. A reminder of where I was at and what we were reading. I also have my notes here. Don't forget, get your notes, get your pen and paper. Okay. People, arousal, and introversion. Thus far, we have attacked the problem by getting rid of the label shy and understanding what is going on as familiar over-arousal. It is equally important that you appreciate that there's more than one right way to be social. Your way of being social arises from a basic fact. For the most of us, the majority of the arousing stimulation in the external world is created by other people, whether at home, at work, or in public. We're all social beings who enjoy and must depend on others. But many HSPs avoid people who come in the overstimulating packages, the strangers, the big parties, the crowds. For most HSPs, this is a smart strategy. In a highly stimulating, demanding world, everyone has to establish priorities. Of course, no one can be an expert at dealing with the situations they choose to avoid, but most of you can manage or learn to. Just managing is an acceptable, smart way to save your energy for whatever else matters to you. It's also true that some HSPs avoid strangers, parties, and other group situations because of having been rejected by peers and groups in the past. Because they didn't fit in our culture's ideal. Oh, this is the hard part about holding this and trying to read a book. I need it to be flat. Okay, because they didn't fit into the culture's ideal of being outgoing, they've been judged harshly and avoid people they cannot be sure of. That seems reasonable, although sad, and is nothing to be ashamed of. In all, 70% of HSPs tend to be socially introverted. Quotes. That does not mean you dislike people. It means you prefer to have a few close relationships rather than a large circle of friends, and don't usually enjoy large parties or crowds. But even the most introverted person is sometimes an extrovert and enjoys a stranger or a crowd. Even the most extroverted is sometimes an introvert. Introverts are still social beings. In fact, their well-being is more affected by their social relationships than is the well-being of extroverts. Introverts just go for quality, not quantity. If you're not enjoying a sense of emotional well-being, however, A close relationship with someone does not always solve the problem. Many people, in fact, cannot have a good, close relationship until they develop a greater sense of well-being through health, through some healing work in psychotherapy, in the broadest sense, as described in Chapter 8. The extroverted HSP. I want to emphasize that being an HSP is not the same as being socially introverted. In my studies, they found that 30% of us are socially extroverted. As an extrovert, you have large circles of friends and tend to enjoy groups and strangers. Perhaps you were raised in a big, sociable, loving family or safe neighborhood and learned to see people as a source of safety rather than reasons to be on guard. You still find other sources of arousal difficult, however, like a long work day or being in the city too much. When over-aroused, you avoid socializing. Extroverted non-HSPs actually relax better with people around. While most of our attention here is on the habitually introverted, extroverts will probably find it useful too. Appreciating the introverted style. I need 6 hands. I need 6 hands right now. Like, how does one hold book and microphone? One does not just walk into Mordor, okay? Ta-da! Bitch, you better stay. Okay. Let's try this again. Avril Throne, now of the University of California at St. Cruz, sat down to watch how introverts actually interact. Using tests to identify highly introverted and highly extroverted women, college students, Using tests to identify highly introverted and highly extroverted women, college students, she paired them either with the same sort of person or their opposite and videotaped the conversations. The highly introverted women were serious and focused. They talked more about problems and were more cautious. They tended to listen, to interview, to give advice. They seemed to be concentrating on the other in a deep way. In contrast, the highly extroverted woman did more pleasure talking, sought more agreement, looked for similarities in background and experience, and paid more compliments. They were upbeat and expansive, and liked being paired with either type, as if their main pleasure were in the talking. When the extroverted were with someone who was highly introverted, they liked not having to be so cheerful, and the introverted found conversations with the extroverted a breath of fresh air. The picture we gain from Thorne is that each type contributes something to this world that is equally important, but given the undervaluing of the introverted style, it will be good to spend some time focusing on the virtues of the introverted. Carl Hung on the introverted style. Carl Hung saw introversion as a basic division among humans, causing the major battles of philosophy and psychology, most of which boil down to conflicts over whether the outer facts or the inner understandings of those facts are more important in comprehending any situation or subject. Jung saw the two as attitudes towards life, which in most people alternate, like breathing in and out, but a few are more consistently in or out. Furthermore, to him, the two attitudes had nothing directly to do with being sociable or not. To be introverted is simply to turn inward, towards the subject, the self, rather than outward, to the object. Introversion arises from a need and preference to protect the inner, subjective aspects of life, to value it more, and in particular, not to allow it to be overwhelmed by the objective world. One cannot emphasize enough the importance of introverts in Jung's view. They are living evidence that the rich and varied world with its overflowing and intoxicating life is not purely external, but also exists within. Their life teaches more than their words. Their lives teach the other possibilities, the interior life, which is so painfully wanting in our civilization. Jung knew the prejudice in Western culture against the introversion. He could tolerate it when it came from the extroverted, but he felt that the introverted who undervalued themselves are truly doing the world a disservice. It takes all kinds. Sometimes we do need just to enjoy the world out there as it is and be glad for those who help us, the extroverted, who can make even total strangers feel connected. Sometimes we need an inner anchor, that is, those who are introverted and give their full attention to the deepest nuances of private experience. Life is not just about the movies we have both seen and the restaurants we have both tried. Sometimes discussing the subtler questions. Man, I hate when they section words off because it's ending and they still want and then it's half the word a little space thing and then the other half the word. I'm why can't it just... It's fine, it's just my brain, nothing else. Sometimes discussing the subtler questions is essential for the soul. Linda Silverman, an expert on gifted children, found that the brighter the child, the more likely he or she will be introverted. Introverts are exceptionally creative, even with something as simple as the number of unusual responses to a Rorschach ink blot test. They are also more flexible in a sense. Sometimes they must do what extroverts do all the time, meet strangers and go to parties. But some extroverted people can avoid being introverted, turning inward, for years at a time. The greater versatility on the part of some introverts is especially important later in life, when one begins to develop what one has lacked up until midlife. Later in life, too, self-reflection becomes more important for everyone. In short, introverts may mature more gracefully. So, you're in good company. Ignore the barbs about lightening up. Enjoy the levity of others and allow yourself your own specialty. If you are not good at chit-chat, be proud of your silence. Equally important, when your mood changes and your extroverted self appears, let it be as clumsy or as silly as it needs to be. We are all awkward doing our non-speciality. What kind of... Okay. You possess one piece of the good. It would only be arrogance to think any of us should have it all. Making friends. Introverts prefer close relationships for many reasons. Introverts prefer close relationships for many reasons. Intimates can understand and support each other best. A good friend or partner can also upset you more, but that forces inner growth, which is often a high priority for HSPs. And given your intuition, you probably like to talk about complicated things like philosophy, feelings, and struggles. That is hard to do with a stranger or at a party. Finally, Introverts possess traits that can make them good at close relationships. With intimates, they can experience social success. The extroverted are right, however, when they say that a stranger is just a friend I haven't met yet. All your closest friends were once strangers. As those relationships change, or even end, you'll always want to meet new potential close friends, so you might think back to I'm sorry. I felt something on my arm and I couldn't ignore it. It was there for like a while. What the fuck, body? Leave me alone right now. The extroverted are right, however. Hold on. As those relationships change or end, you'll always want to meet new potential close friends. So you might think back over how you meet your best friends. The persona and good manners, especially if you are usually introverted. Remember that in most social situations, you at least need to meet minimal social expectations. HSPs can reduce all rules of etiquette to 4 words. To a 4-word rule. Minimize the other's over-arousal. Or to 2 words. Be kind. Dead silence, since it is not expected, can arouse another person. But so can being too outgoing, which is often the extrovert's mistake. The goal is just to say something pleasant and unsurprising. Yes, this may bore some people who are non-sensitive and enjoy lots of stimulation, but you want your short-term arousal when meeting a new person to settle down, even if it is not a problem for the other. Then later on, you can be as creative and surprising as you want. But at the point, you are taking calculated risks, and any success can be counted as extra credit points. Now you need a more advanced curious on personas or social rules. A good persona obviously involves good manners and predictable, non-arousing behavior, but it can be a bit more specialized according to your needs. A banker wants to have a solid practical persona. If there's an artist within that is kept private, artists, on the other hand, will do well to keep their banker's sensibilities hidden from public view. Students are smart to appear a little humble. Teachers need to appear authoritative. The idea of a person going against North American culture's admiration of openness and authenticity, Europeans have far better grasp of the value of not saying everything that one is thinking. Yet there are people who identify too much with their persona. We all know the type. Having nothing else underneath, it's hard to say they're being dishonest or unauthentic, but it's rare for an HSP to over-identify with a persona. If you still think I'm asking you to be insecure, think of it as choosing the appropriate level of openness for that place and time. Take the example of when you're barely met somebody who wants a friendship with you and you have decided not to pursue it. You probably don't reject the other's lunch invitation by saying, I have come to realize that I don't want to be a close friend of yours. You say something about having a very busy schedule right now. This response is honest as a certain level. If you had infinite time, you might actually pursue such a relationship at least a step farther. To tell the other person what put them low on your list of priorities is not, in my experience, morally correct. The best persona and good manners involves the sort of face-saving, compassionate level of honesty, especially with those you don't know particularly well. Weird. I mean, I feel like I would just rather have people tell me that they don't like me. And maybe that's more of a personal thing. I guess. But it really bothers me when people are like, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. And then you like see them online, because like social media is like everywhere now. You see them online and they're just like always out with friends or going to a bar where you could have been easily invited. And you're like, so you weren't busy, you just didn't want to be my friend. And I would have taken not being a friend much easier than watching you have fun without me, thinking that I could have been involved if I had done something right. And so I guess like I guess that's just like a skill I don't wish to have, because I don't like when people do it to me. And I guess maybe that's like a big reason why I probably don't have a lot of friends, is because like when someone does something to me and like it rubs me the wrong way and I tell them, I'm like, I don't really want to be your friend anymore because of this situation, and then they just stop talking to me, I'm like, and that's why we're not friends, because you don't want to communicate to me like a friend. You want to communicate to me like this person, as if we don't have years together and that we've worked past this part. Because I feel like a lot of people don't want to work past this part where like you're supposed to do like these social niceties. I don't know. I dislike it. I dislike it a lot. Social shit is dumb. But that's why we're reading this book. Okay. Anyways, on page 102, there is how to meet your best friend. So we're going to write that down. We're going to do this together. Page 102. How to meet your best friend. Because I feel like I keep friends. Because I feel like I keep meeting people I would consider my best friends. And then after a year or two, like, we hit this patch that's normal where you got to start, you know, dealing with emotions a little bit more and, like, how somebody actually works and stuff like that. And then, like, you'll see, like, these really terrible things about how people want to treat you. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize being your friend meant that you got to treat me however you want. Like, I thought it meant you treated me better and that I get, like, more information and understanding over you so I know how to treat you better. But it's, you know, it is how it is. Okay, it says, write down the names of your best friends, one to a page of a paper, then answer the following questions about the beginning of each friendship. I don't have any best friends. I thought I did, but now we're not friends, so yay, the Japan trip. Yeah, I don't have any best friends. I'm gonna put down my partner because that's all I have. He's my best friend. Okay. Did circumstances force you to talk? Did circumstances force us to talk? Like school? Like you were in the same class? Would that be forced? Even still, you wouldn't have to, right? I feel like I'm gonna take this way too literally. Damn it. Yes. Yes. I'm gonna like fully write these questions out too so I can remember them. Circumstances did the other take the initiative? No, I took the initiative. As in most of all of my relationships. Anyways, was there anything unusual about how you were feeling? About what? About what? Was there anything unusual about how you were feeling? Like, when we met? Like, there's something unusual about how I'm feeling all the time. Why is there no fucking... I don't know how to answer these questions. We're gonna skip that one for a minute. Were you being especially extroverted that day? I'm always especially extroverted when I first meet people. So yeah. Okay. How were you dressed or feeling about your appearance? Where were you? At school, at work, on vacation, at a party? What was the situation? Who introduced you? Or were you thrown together by chance? Or did one of you happen to speak to the other about something? What happened? What were the first moments and hours and days like? When and how did you know this would be a friendship? Turning the page. Am I doing back and forth on these pages? I am. Okay. Saving paper! Okay. Did I finish the question? Now look for commonalities among these. For example, you may not like parties, but that was the setting for meeting two of your best friends. Are any of these common features, like going to school or working with others, absent from your life at present? Is there anything you want to do about what you've learned? Vow to go to one party a month, or to avoid parties from now on. They turned out not to be a source of friends after all. Okay. I still like this. I'm going to go back, actually. The third question here says, was there anything unusual about how you were feeling? What do I answer? Like, what do you answer to that when, like, you always feel weird? Like, I literally cannot think of a moment in time and space and reality in my life in which I've never felt weird. I've always felt weird. Every second, every millisecond, every moment. Like, I literally, my brain, like, literally wants to pop in, like, a few things, and then I'm like, no, I was also feeling weird during that. I just pretended like I didn't for a while. I, like, masked that shit hard, even to myself. I'm like, no, actually, I really didn't like that experience, even though I remember being very happy around it. So, I'm like, and then I'm just like, I feel too literal. I feel like I'm taking it too literal. Like, unusual for my typical, I have to assume. Which, honestly, I was. So I'm just going to say, like, yeah, I'm going to write it down. That's what the journaling's for, okay? All right? Boom. Back to my other page in case I need to write notes. Anyways, that was on page 102. So, we're going to go on, continue reading. We're on page 103, learning more social skills. Oh, I need this. I need more social skills. Okay. There are two kinds of information about social skills. Whether it comes packaged as a book, tape, article, lectures, or courses. One kind comes from the experts on extroversions, social skills, sales, personal management, and etiquette. These folks are often witty and upbeat. They talk about learning, not curing, so they do not lower your self-esteem by implying that you have a serious problem. If you turn to these pros, just understand that your goal is not to be exactly like them, but to learn a few tips. Watch for titles like How to Win Over a Crowd and What to Say in Every Possible Awkward Moment. I made these up. New ones are constantly appearing. The other kind of information comes from psychologists trying to help people with shyness. Their style is first to make you worry so you'll be motivated, then to take you step by step through some pretty sophisticated, well-researched methods of changing your behaviors. This approach can be very effective, but also has some problems for HSPs. Although it may seem more suited to you, talk about curing your shyness or conquering your syndrome cannot help but make you feel flawed, and it overlooks the positive side of your inherited traits. Whatever advice you read or hear, remember that you do not have to accept how the extroverted 3/4 of the population defines social skills. Working the room, always having a good comeback, never allowing awkward silence. You have your own skills, talking seriously, listening well, allowing silence in which deeper thoughts can develop. It is also probably true that you already know much of what is covered by these experts. So, I've taken the main points and put them into a short test to show you what you do know and teach you some of the rest. Hey, I like that. Do you know the latest on overcoming social discomforts? Ooh, let's find out. Shall I write these down so I can remember? Because I don't want to write in this book. Okay. Page 104. Get your notebooks, folks. And this is, do you know the latest on overcoming social discomforts? It's a true or false, and it says true or false, then check your answers on pages 113 and 115. All right. True or false, guys. Here we go. There is 17 of them. So if you want to quickly write 1 through 17, that's what I'm going to do. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm not going to write down all these questions, but I'm going to write like what I think it is, and then we'll go to the page and find out what they actually say. So we can do it together. Okay, number 1. It helps to try to control negative self-talk, such as, he probably won't like me, or I'll probably fail as I always do. And I'm going to say that is true. When people feel shy, it is obvious to those around them. I say that's mostly true. You need to expect some rejections and not take it personally. That is also true, I think. Number 4, it helps to have a plan for overcoming your social discomfort. For example, try to meet one new person a week. Honestly, I think that's true too. 5, when formulating your plan, the bigger the steps you take, the faster you will achieve your goal. Lies. I feel falsies on this one. Number 6, it is best not to rehearse what you'll say with a new person or in a new situation. It will make you sound stiff and unspontaneous. I think that's a lie. I think actually that's something that even models do, is like you're supposed to like look in a mirror and watch your face and know how your face turns and like makes things. That way when you're doing photos it becomes like very natural. Why would you do that as a model but not do that as somebody who's trying to communicate better? Just saying. Didn't need to go through all that, but I couldn't help it. Number 7, be careful about body language. The less it conveys, the better. I don't agree with that. When trying to get a conversation started or to continue, ask questions that are a little bit personal and that cannot be answered with 1 or 2 words. That I think is true. That's number 8. Number 9, a way to show you are listening is to sit back with your arms and legs crossed. Keep your face still and don't meet the other person's eye. That's false. 10, never touch another person. That's false. 11, don't read the newspaper before going out where you will meet people. It will just upset you. I think that's false. Self-disclosure is not important to conversation as long as you are talking about something interesting. I'll say true. I think people can get away with that. 13, good listeners repeat back what they've heard, reflecting the other's feelings and then responding with their own feelings, not ideas. I agree with the first part, but not so much with the second part. I'm gonna put true false because I'm not real sure. I feel kind of conflicted on that one. Number 14, don't tell other people interesting details about yourself. It will only make them jealous. I think that's actually kind of true. You don't want to deal with jealousy. To depend on a conversation or make it more interesting to both of you, sometimes it works to share your own flaws or problems. To deepen a conversation or to make it more interesting to both of you. Sometimes it works. Yeah, sometimes. I think it depends on the conversation. 16, try not to disagree with other people. Honestly, yeah. People hate it when you disagree with them. When a conversation is making you feel that you want to spend more time with the other person, it's best to say so. Yeah, we'll say yes, but I don't think you should do it right there in the conversation. I think it makes you look needy. But yeah, you should still tell them. Okay, I'm going to skip to page 113 real quick so we can find out. Okay. I need a little... Where'd my paper go? Okay. So... I'm just going to say, because I'm going to have to go read over this again. Okay, so... Number 1 is true. Number 2 is false. Number 3 is true. Number 4 is true. Number 5 is false. Okay. Number 6 is false. Number 7 is false. Number 8 is true. Number 9 is false. Number 10 is false. Number 11 is false. Number 12 is false. Number 13 is true. Number 14 is false. Number 15 is true. Number 16 is false. And number 17 is true. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that I need to work on, apparently. Out of 17, having 5 that I need to work on is not that bad, I feel like. That's pretty solid. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Don't feel bad if you know what to do, but don't always do it. Gretchen Hill, a psychologist at the University of Kansas, questioned shy and non-shy people about what was the appropriate behavior in 25 social situations. She found that the shy people knew equally, wow, thank you, brain, knew equally well what was expected of them, but said they were not capable of doing it. She hinted that shy people lack self-confidence, the usual inner flaw attributed to us. So we are told to be more confident, which we can't, of course. So we failed again, but maybe we're sometimes justified in our lack of confidence, with so many experiences of being too aroused to behave appropriately. Naturally, some of us expect not to be able to do what we know to be socially correct. I think that simply telling others to be more confident rarely helps stick. I think that simply telling ourselves to be more confident rarely helps. Stick to the twofold approach of this chapter. Work on the over-arousal, appreciate your introverted style. Another reason for not being able to put into practice what you know about social skills is that old patterns from childhood may be taking over and need to be faced. Or some feelings command your attention. One sure sign. You keep saying things like, I don't know why I did that. I knew better. That just wasn't like me. Or, after all my efforts, nothing is working. The case of Paula. Paula was definitely born highly sensitive. Her parents had commented. Wait, what time is it? What time is it? We're going to stop there. This is page 106. Yeah. This is page 106, guys. We're going to start there again tomorrow. And we will continue reading The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine N. Aron, Ph.D. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.